All right, we're back with Shawn. Shawn, a couple things that interest me about interviewers is who you interview and how the result of those interviews end up. Do you mind sharing with me some of your favorite interviews and maybe an interview or two that didn't go as planned?
Yeah, sure. Well, my favorite interviews was with Ed Kingerski, former news director of News 3, and my interview that I had done with Adam Schefter of ESPN, as well as Stuart Scott. But the best one of all out of all those that I've done was when I got a chance to meet Tim Kirchin at the Winter Meetings in 2012. And it was by accident that I met Tim because I was looking for another part of the hotel and got lost. You know how the ballrooms and everything, the carpet, everything is the same. And I'm going by, this is when they did social media. Social media, that's like you go look on the screen and you could tweet and put on the screen. This is when they first started doing this. And baseball was the first one to do it. And I'm looked in this one ballroom and I'm seeing all these journalists. And I'm seeing all these familiar faces like Jorge Andres and Linda Cohn. And so I poked my head in there and I'm like, could someone tell me, I'm kind of lost. Could they tell me how to get back to the top floor? I'm kind of lost. So Tim stuck his head out and gave me the directions. And then next thing you know, I said, Mr. Kirchin, introduced myself to him and told him that I was a newcomer in the business and could I get an interview to make or break my career. And he obliged. He gave me the interview. But across the hall was Carl Ravitch. He was being interviewed by someone else too. So I got the interview from Tim, and Tim was such a nice guy. I mean, Tim, heart of gold. I mean, you're talking about somebody that's nice and well-spoken and got years of experience in the business is Tim. Carl, I got an interview from him as well that same night. But Tim had to be my favorite. Now, the one that didn't go right was with Adam Schefter.
What happened there?
At the Combine in 2012, Adam was the guest speaker. And Sports Management Worldwide, my alumnus, we held a big thing there. And Tim spoke there with us, along with Mark Dominic, former Tampa Bay Buccaneers general manager. Now he's with ESPN. Everybody was lined up to want to take a picture with him. His phones are going off. He got to get back to Lucas Oil Stadium. He really don't, he was like, okay, let's take the picture, let's go. So I had my cameras and everything already set up. So me, like I said, I've been dubbed for the self-taught guru for a reason because when there's an opportunity, I'm ready to go. I had my camera set up, my marker in place, whole 9 yards. I said, you know what? I approached him. He said, hey, how you doing? You want to take a picture? I said, no, I want something better, Mr. Schefter. I want an interview with you. And that was the first time he ever heard of anybody wanting to give him an interview. So I said, my camera's over there. My marker's there. We're going to go over the questions I'm going to ask you and how you want to be addressed. Do you want to be addressed as first name basis, Mr. Schefter? How you want to do it? So as the interview proceeded, I got nervous because I can't believe I'm standing next to the man that I see on TV. So that's when the nerves kicked in. And plus on top of that, I'm a big fan too. So, but you know as well as I know, in this field, you got to be professional at all times. So, as it went on, I kept saying his last name wrong. So, on the second go-around, he said, look, and I had to cut, he said, look, if you want this interview, you got to say my name right. Otherwise, this interview was over. You're wasting my time.
Oh, my.
So, I nailed it. I nailed it. One take after that, it was no retake, no nothing. On the third try, I nailed it. And so he looked at me, he said, you know what? He said, you got a lot of potential. He said, I see the determination in you. And you said you just started doing this not too long ago? I said, yes, sir. He said, you know what? Don't stop. He said, just keep working on what you're doing. Here's my card. Give me a call sometime. Email me sometime. And if there's anything I could do for you, let me know. So as he was walking away, I said, well, it is one thing you can do for me. I said, if you could get any breaking story that you come up with, could you relay that to me? Send it to me to where I can, put it on my website and stuff. He said, well, I have to clear it with Disney. I have to clear it with ESPN. But if they say okay, I give it to you. And the man has not lied to me. Any breaking information story that's going on around the NFL, he'll make sure I get it. Personally from him.
Wow.
I thought that was the coolest things early in my career that I could ever get out of that. But that was almost an implode interview that I've done. But then as I learned along the way of becoming an interviewer, I had to learn what questions to ask, how to go about asking those questions without offending no one or getting up under anyone's skin, and at the same time ask the questions that is most appropriate to the situation. Over time I had to learn how to do that. I just couldn't randomly just throw questions out there because I thought I had a right to do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have to be assertive with those questions, and those questions have to be arrayed in a way to where it's surrounded by the element of the situation that's going on.
In context.
There you go. And because you know as well as I know, trust is everything in this business. And your word is your bond. The individual, whether it be a player or a fellow journalist or whoever it may be, hears about what happened and it's not in its true context, not only they'll have to suffer for it, but you as well, because now your credibility is shot and they don't want to mess with you anymore.
Yep. Agreed. You know. So, we live in a soundbite world, so it's especially what you and I do. It's very appropriate that we keep it in the proper context, and not just a headline or a little soundbite, because that will most likely be interpreted incorrectly.
Yeah. So, and that's one of the things that I try to relate to a lot of up-and-coming fellow journalists, up-and-coming fellow reporters that's trying to make it in the business, is that the most important thing is you want to be true to yourself. You be true to yourself, you be true to this business. Without a shadow of a doubt, without second guessing or anything. Because if you're not true to yourself, then you're going to put stuff out there that is not true. All for what? And what you think you're going to accomplish in the end out of, oh yeah, you're going to be famous, all right. I tell them all the time, you're going to be the first one to see their own funeral on TV. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you just killed your career.
Yeah, you'll be famous for the wrong reason.
Right. It's just being true to yourself in this business. Yeah. Because that's what anybody asks of you. And the one thing that I stay true to this business. And by me staying true to this business, being versatile and being just voluntarily out there, I'm very determined. And I stay true to myself. I get a lot of respect out of that.
Good.